I never imagined that one mistake, one moment of weakness, could turn my entire life upside down. It started off so harmless, just a regular visit to my best friend's house, something I'd done countless times before. But this time, everything felt different. Her dad, Mr. Carter, had always been the quiet type, respectful, never crossed any lines. But on that day, the way he looked at me, the way he spoke, it was like he saw me for the first time in a completely different light, and I noticed it. I wish I hadn't thought it was the weekend and my friend Mia had invited me over to hang out. We'd been close for years, practically like sisters. Her family always welcomed me with open arms. I felt safe there. But when we got to her place that day, Mia said she had to run a quick errand and would be back soon. So I waited alone in the living room, scrolling through my phone, not thinking anything of it until Mr. Carter walked in. At first, it was just casual conversation, small talk. But something about his tone was off. There was this weird energy in the room. I shrugged it off, thinking maybe I was just overthinking things. Then he said something that caught me completely off guard. Compliments, ones that felt too personal. Words that didn't sound like they were coming from a friend's dad. I laughed, awkwardly trying to change the subject, but he didn't back off. Instead, he leaned in closer and said, "I've got an offer for you, one that could change your life." My heart started racing. I didn't know what he meant, but something about the way he said it made my stomach twist. I should have gotten up and walked away. I should have waited for Mia outside, but I didn't. Curiosity? Naivety? Maybe both. He talked about helping me, offering money, connections, things I had been struggling with silently. College applications, rent, bills. It felt like he had been watching me more closely than I ever realized. He knew too much, and the worst part, he said he didn't want anything serious in return, just a little time, a little attention, a small arrangement, as he put it. I remember sitting there, frozen, while my mind went a million directions. I wasn't that kind of person. I never imagined myself in a situation like that. But when life has been cornering you and someone throws you a rope, it's hard not to grab it, even if that rope pulls you into something darker. I made a choice that day, one I can't undo. And from the moment I said yes, I felt everything in my life start to shift. What seemed like a quiet secret became a storm I couldn't contain. And the worst part, it wasn't just my life that got wrecked, it was Mia's too, but what happened next. I never saw coming, asterisk, I didn't sleep that night. I kept playing everything over in my head, wondering how I had let it go that far. I wasn't proud of myself, and deep down, I knew I had crossed a line I could never uncross. The guilt was already sinking in, but there was also fear of what would happen if Mia ever found out. Fear of what I had just gotten myself into. Mr. Carter had made it sound like it was no big deal, like this kind of thing happened all the time. But to me, it felt like the biggest mistake of my life. Over the next few days, I tried to act normal around Mia. She didn't suspect anything. She was laughing, joking, making plans for the weekend like everything was fine. And that made it worse. Every time I looked at her, a wave of guilt hit me. She trusted me, her family trusted me, and now I was carrying this secret that could destroy everything. I wanted to believe it was just one time, a one-time thing I could walk away from and pretend never happened. But it didn't stop there. Mr. Carter started texting me. At first, it was innocent messages just checking in, asking how my day was. Then he started getting bolder, sending things he never should have sent. I told him to stop more than once, but he always had a way of turning it around, making me feel like I owed him something. "After everything I've done for you," he would say. And the truth was, he had helped. He gave me money for my school fees, helped fix my laptop, even put in a word for me at a local internship. But now it all felt like a trap. I started avoiding their house. I'd make excuses when Mia invited me over. She started noticing, asking if something was wrong. I lied. I said I was just busy dealing with family stuff. But Mia wasn't stupid. She could tell I was hiding something. Still, I couldn't bring myself to tell her. How could I? Hey, your dad made an offer and I took it. How do you even say that to someone you care about? The worst part was a small part of me started to feel stuck, like no matter what I was in too deep. I wasn't proud of what was happening, but walking away now felt impossible. Mr. Carter wasn't threatening me, not directly, but there was this unspoken pressure. He knew things about me. He knew I needed help. And he used that. I started noticing changes in Mia too. She seemed quieter around me, more distant. I couldn't tell if it was just my own paranoia or if she was starting to sense something was off. Every time we hung out, I felt like I was waiting for something to explode, like the truth was hanging just above our heads, ready to fall. And even though I was desperate to go back to how things were before, I knew there was no way, not after what I had done, not after what came next. Asterisk, I started feeling like I was living two lives. On the outside, I was the same friend, the same student, the same person everyone thought they knew. But inside, I was falling apart. Every time my phone buzzed, I flinched. Every time Mia talked about her dad or casually mentioned family stuff, I felt my stomach twist into a knot. I knew I was hiding something awful, and the weight of it followed me everywhere. It was like a shadow I couldn't outrun. Mr. Carter, on the other hand, acted like nothing was wrong. He sent me messages like we were sharing some big secret, like we were part of something special. He was careful, always polite in public, but I could feel the control tightening. He reminded me of what he'd done for me, how he could just as easily take it all away. I didn't want anything else from him. I just wanted out. But I didn't know how to get out without blowing everything up. The guilt, the fear, the anxiety. It was all mixing together until I couldn't even think straight. Meanwhile, Mia started opening up to me more, but not in the way I expected. One night during a sleepover, she got quiet and said something I wasn't prepared for. Do you think my dad single quotes es ... different lately? I froze. I asked what she meant, trying to keep calm. She said he'd been acting strange at home, more distracted, more secretive. I wanted to tell her everything right then and there, but I couldn't. Instead, I changed the subject again, and that only made me feel more like a coward. At the same time, something else started happening. A guy I'd been friends with for a while, Jordan, began to notice I wasn't myself. We'd never been more than classmates, but he was kind, observant, and a little too smart for his own good. He started asking questions, subtle ones like, "Are you okay?" Or, "You've seemed stressed lately." I brushed him off at first, but it was clear he wasn't buying it. And the more he pushed, the more I started to crack. Part of me wanted to confide in him, to just tell someone what I'd done, what I was still caught up in. But I was terrified of being judged. Worse, I was terrified of what might happen if word got out. The pressure was building from all sides. Mr. Carter's attention was growing more intense. Mia was getting suspicious, and Jordan's concern was turning into curiosity. It felt like my secret was leaking out through the cracks, and I couldn't seal them fast enough. I barely recognized myself anymore. I was lying to everyone, especially to the people who trusted me the most. Then, just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, something happened that shook me completely. A photo, one I didn't take, one that showed me somewhere I wasn't supposed to be, and someone had it. I didn't know who or why. But I knew one thing for sure: the truth wasn't going to stay buried much longer. The moment I saw the photo, my heart dropped. It was a blurry shot, taken from a distance, but there was no mistaking it. It was me standing near Mr. Carter's car late in the evening, wearing the same hoodie I always wore. And he was there, too, just a few feet away, looking right at me. The message attached said nothing, just a single emoji. I didn't recognize the number. I didn't know who sent it. But whoever it was, they knew something. And they wanted me to know. They knew. I stared at my phone for what felt like hours, trying to figure out what to do. I couldn't tell Mia. I couldn't go to Mr. Carter. And I definitely couldn't talk to Jordan, even though part of me wanted to. My hands were shaking, my thoughts spinning. I deleted the message, but it didn't matter. The image was burned into my brain. Someone was watching. Someone was keeping track. I started thinking back. Who could have seen us? A neighbor? A classmate? Someone from the neighborhood? The possibilities were endless, and the fear of being exposed was like a fire in my chest at school the next day. I couldn't concentrate. Everything felt louder, brighter, like the world was closing in on me. I kept looking over my shoulder, convinced someone was going to walk up and confront me. Jordan noticed. He pulled me aside during lunch and said I looked pale, anxious. I brushed him off again, but I could tell he was done letting it slide. If something's going on, he said, you don't have to carry it alone. I almost broke right then and there. I wanted to tell him everything, but I couldn't, not yet. Then Mia started acting different. Not cold exactly, but distant. Her texts were shorter. She canceled plans. She didn't laugh at our usual jokes. I knew something was up, and I had a sinking feeling she knew more than she was letting on. Later that week, I found out why. Someone had slipped an envelope into Mia's locker. Inside were more photos, some of me outside her house, one of me getting into Mr. Carter's car. Nothing too obvious, but enough to raise questions. She didn't tell me right away. I heard about it from another friend who overheard her in the bathroom, asking someone if they thought I was hiding something. My head was spinning. I felt trapped. Whoever had those photos clearly wanted to stir things up, and they were doing a good job. The walls were closing in fast. Mr. Carter started acting more nervous, too. He texted less, then suddenly more, asking if I'd said anything, if I'd noticed anything strange. He even hinted that we should stop seeing each other for a while, just in case, but it was too late. The damage was already done. The secret wasn't just ours anymore. Someone else was pulling the strings now, and I had no idea what their next move would be. All I knew was something big was coming, and there was no way to stop it. Asterisk a few days later, the second twist hit me like a punch to the gut, and it came from the last person I expected. Jordan. He asked if we could talk after school. Alone. I thought maybe he was going to check on me again, or maybe confess something, but instead, he handed me his phone. I think you should see this, he said quietly. I took it, not sure what I was about to look at. On his screen was a private chat thread between him and someone using a fake account. The messages were creepy, almost threatening. They were about me. Detailed things, where I had been, what I had worn, even what time I had left Mia's house. The night that photo was taken, whoever this was, they weren't just watching me. They were watching us. Then came the bombshell. The fake account had sent Jordan a message 2 nights ago saying, your friend isn't who you think she is. Ask her about Mr. Carter. My blood went cold. Jordan had known. He hadn't confronted me, but he'd been trying to figure it out himself. I felt the panic rising in my chest. I looked up at him, expecting anger or disappointment. But instead, he just looked hurt. You don't have to explain everything, he said. But I think you're in something way bigger than you realize. And he was right. At that moment, I knew this wasn't just about a secret getting out. This was about control, manipulation, and someone in the shadows pulling all the right strings to bring everything crashing down. Jordan said he had tried tracing the IP address of the account using a tool a friend of his had, but it kept bouncing through different locations. Whoever it was, they were covering their tracks. This wasn't just some nosy student or a bitter neighbor. This felt targeted, like someone was out to ruin me, and maybe Mr. Carter too. And then another twist, Jordan revealed something else. His older brother used to date Mia, and apparently it hadn't ended well. There were rumors that Mr. Carter had something to do with it, that he'd gotten involved and pushed them apart. I never knew that. Jordan had kept that part to himself. Until now. Suddenly, it felt like this story had deeper roots than I ever realized. Maybe this person watching us had their own reason for revenge. The more I thought about it, the more tangled everything became. I didn't know who to trust. Mia had gone completely silent. Mr. Carter was being distant. And now Jordan had connected dots I hadn't even considered. Everything felt like it was spiraling. Then came the final blow. I received a voice message. A distorted voice, clearly altered to sound robotic, saying just one sentence: "Tell the truth or we will." That was it. No name, no threats, just that line. But it was enough to shake me completely. Someone wanted this secret out, and they weren't playing games anymore. The countdown had started, and I had no idea how much time was left. Asterisk after that voice message. I knew I couldn't stay silent any longer. The fear, the guilt, the pressure, it had all built up to a point where it was choking me. I had to come clean, not just to protect myself, but because the damage was already leaking into everyone's lives. That night, I sat down and wrote a message to Mia. I didn't explain everything in detail, but I told her I had made a mistake, a huge one, and that it involved someone close to her. I asked to talk in person, one last chance to fix what I had broken. She agreed. When we met, her eyes were already filled with a kind of sadness that said she knew more than she let on. I told her everything. About her dad, about the offer, about how it started, and how I'd been trying to pull away ever since. I expected her to scream, to walk away, to hate me on the spot. But she didn't. She just sat there quiet, like she was trying to hold something in. And then she said it. I already knew. I found the messages weeks ago. I just wanted to see if you'd ever tell me the truth. I felt my stomach drop. She had known all along. Every moment of awkward silence, every canceled hangout, it all made sense now. But what shocked me even more was what she said next. You weren't the only one, she whispered. My dad's done this before. To people I know, girls younger than you. I thought it stopped, but I guess I was wrong. The weight of her words hit me harder than anything. I wasn't just caught in some isolated mistake. I had been part of something deeper, something wrong that had been happening for a long time. And now it was all finally coming to light. Next day, Mia reported everything. Her dad was placed under investigation. The anonymous messages stopped. And for the first time in months, I could breathe again. But just when I thought the worst was over, Jordan sent me one last message. You should know, he wrote, the fake account. It was my brother. He found out about Mia's dad months ago and wanted revenge. You were just caught in the middle. Everything made sense now. The photos, the threats, the voice message. It hadn't been random. In the end, the truth came out, but not the way I thought it would. And the scars it left behind, those might take a lot longer to fade. Asterisk. After everything came out, life didn't magically go back to normal, but it did begin to settle. Mr. Carter was placed on leave while the investigation continued, and people in the neighborhood started talking. Whispers turned into questions, and the truth that had been buried for so long was finally surfacing. It wasn't just about what he did to me, it was a pattern. And others were starting to come forward to dot Mia, and I didn't go back to being the way we were. That kind of trust, once broken, takes time if it can ever be fully rebuilt. But she didn't cut me out completely. We talked now and then, slowly working through everything. There were still quiet moments between us, filled with things left unsaid, but I knew she didn't hate me. She just needed space to heal, just like I did. Jordan and I also drifted apart, though not in a bad way. I think once everything was out, we both realized how heavy things had gotten and how much we had been pulled into something far bigger than either of us expected. His brother never contacted me again, and part of me was grateful for that. The fear had finally lifted, replaced by a strange kind of peace. Looking back now, I see how one decision, one moment of weakness, unraveled so many parts of my life. I had accepted something that felt small at the time but carried so much weight. It taught me how dangerous secrets can be, how manipulation often hides behind favors and charm, and how silence can hurt just as much as the truth. This wasn't just a story about infidelity or betrayal. It was about learning where the line is and what happens when you cross it. It was about choices, regret, and how sometimes the only way to move forward is by owning what you did, even when it hurts. I'll never forget that chapter of my life. It changed the way I see people. It made me more cautious, more aware of power and trust. And most of all, it made me understand that walking away, speaking up, or saying no, those are all choices too. Ones that matter more than we often realize. This is my story. It's messy, it's painful, but it's real. And if it helps even one person see the signs earlier, speak out sooner, or make a different choice, then maybe, just maybe, something good can come out of it. Asterisk.